One issue that is close at heart that I have spoken in the last election and which I will carry forward in the coming election is on the topic of EPF. Because to me, the workers of the country are the most, what I call, hardworking, the most loyal, and they are the taxpayers. And the purpose of EPF was for old age. We are saying that when this idea of the EPF came about, it was for the purpose of making sure that when the workers reach the age of 55 at that time, and which has now been extended to 60, it was for the purpose of making sure that when we retire in good state, that we are able to cover for the rest of our life. Because to me, if we are able to gather all the funds of the workers, and we are saying that we want to multiply these funds to be sufficiently good enough to enrich the workers, that one day when they reach the retirement age, they are then able to benefit from that. We must live up to these words. And this can only be assured if we make them members for life. I have raised this because I understand that they say that, no, like in the case of the government servants, not only the government servant himself actually is being pensionable, but once, let's say, if anything were to happen to the pensioner, or for that matter during his working time as a civil servant, you see, his next of kin and those at a certain age, even the wife, are all entitled to a certain amount of allowances. I'm saying that if this is already awarded to civil servants where they are not even contributing anything to a fund, why is this so different from the private workers? And for me, the private workers are the ones who is actually powering the economy. And if we, as the government of the day, and as the people's government, and if we are sincere that we want to ensure that these workers are taken care of, the fund that is being generated, the funds that is being managed, should actually be able to take care of this group of loyal citizens who will form the majority of the citizens of the population. So imagine tomorrow if EPF were to make this announcement, I believe that is the most important things to happen to Malaysia. Imagine that this is the source that is being used to bail out a lot of government projects that is running into trouble. Imagine that the amount of money that would be actually going down the drain if the government of the day is unable to repay. This is whereby this group of workers are actually having the funds being not used to go and generate incomes that are better. Because when I compare EPF with all the other funds like PNB and LTAT, you can see that the dividends as well as whatever bonuses that they are giving to their fund holders are all much, much better than EPF. And I don't see why EPF cannot be better run. Because to me, in the economy, when I always compare it on the basis that when an investment is placed by a fund, 50% will be the losers, 50% will be the gainers. So EPF, with the amount of expertise, with the amount of funds that they have, by right, if they have hired the right management people, they should always be on the winning side. They cannot be on the losing side. So if they are on the winning side, and then they should actually be able to reap in a lot of good profits and be able to sustain and be able to then generate a lot of funds to be able to meet the goals of what EPF is up to. But because if you say that EPF has a lot of its funds whereby it is going down where in areas whereby they have to write off and they have to go and bail out companies and all those, then you can see that the management of EPF is weak. So if the management of EPF is weak, then it is the duty But right now it's in the hands of the government. By right, actually, I believe that EPF should have an elected board, and the elected board should comprise of members of, it should comprise of workers, it should comprise of employers, and it should comprise of the elected government. And it should also maybe comprise of the opposition, so that actually EPF is seen as a body that is neutrally being run for the sake of the workers. And if you think about it, they have loyally served the country, and they will continue loyally serving the country, and they will be motivated to serve if they are assured that actually EPF, once you become a member, you are a life member and you are entitled to all the benefits. Because why? We can actually not be able to actually differentiate when the income is coming for the funds that they have contributed, frankly speaking. Because why? Whatever that has been contributed, you are using it to invest over a long term. When it is used to invest over a long term, the returns will come over a long term. But by then, this investor who is leaving the EPF could have left in between this. So if that investor have left in between that, how then would you be able to measure that his money, which has been used to fund a long-term project, is being reaped in for him to enjoy? So on that ground itself, you can see that it is not fair to say that when an EPF holder ends at the age of 55 or 60 and he takes out his money, then there you are. He is no longer entitled to everything that is being generated by EPF, because EPF is growing by the day. And if they are growing by the day, how come the additional assets, the additional wealth of EPF, which will definitely in the future be going for different further additional benefits for its members, then how come these additional benefits that these future generations of EPF holders are getting, why then are the previous ones who have actually contributed, why are they then not entitled to it? So that's why I beg to differ that once you are an EPF member, but you can qualify it saying that maybe you have to be a member for at least a certain number of years. That maybe is the mechanism of how to make sure that there is no abuse to the EPF system. But by the bulk of it, the most important of it, that why we have the fund, and the fund is for the purpose of making sure that once you retire, it's the fund who is supposed to take care of you. So if that's the case, and they are supposed to take care of you, it must be certain that when you retire, everything, especially your medical, your health, and your livelihood are all taken care of. Because after all, you contribute for maybe 30, 40, 50 years of your lifetime. And it's the ending, maybe 5, 10, now maybe extended later because of the beauty of science and technology to enhance your life. But then don't forget, if EPF is well run, they can actually own hospitals. They can actually own very well run senior citizen homes, where they can even own homes that is almost like hotels, facilities throughout the world, so that citizens who reach that age from then on will know their entitlement, and for the rest of their life, they should be given this enjoyment. Because why? You work and work and work, you never get the chance to travel, you never get the chance to see the world. So in your ending years, your children, who is now continuing the contribution to EPF, they will love to see that you get to enjoy this, because their turn will come. Because if the population is in a pyramid system, supporting the senior citizen at the top with the small numbers of them, I think it's affordable. So I don't see why this cannot be adopted. So if the coalition of United Independents get to preach and get to put forward this to Malaysians and get to make Malaysians understand, then I think tomorrow this will be a better country. And likewise, don't forget, the government has actually making sure that all these public listing company who wants to get listed, they were allocating certain allocation of the shares to only a certain group of people, be it Bhumiputras or non-Bhumiputras and all this classification. I think all this is not needed. Because why? If you want to see who you should reward this to, if you pass it on to this sort of institutions whereby they are representing the loyal, passionate, and tax-paying Malaysians, I think it's a decision which is not wrong. It's a decision that if we have given all these rewards to these institutions, then when all these good public institutions make money, all these profits will go to these institutions. Then I think from there you can see that actually the revenues are being generated. Then they can start funding all these what they call so good, noble ideas of helping senior citizens. So from there you can see that actually, even when we talk about projects that affect the masses, we talk about setting up the toll, we talk about casinos, we talk about gambling, what do you call this, lottery draws and all this. All this do not have to be privately, do not have to be given to a single individual. All this can be given to the institution like this, whereby it is owned by the citizens, but it is professionally run. So imagine if toll tomorrow, but you see, EPF have to buy toll to bail out the operators. They bought at a very high price. But if the government has given these projects, where knowing the EPF has all the funds to fund it, and if they have given the projects to them as owners, but making sure that EPF has the professional capability to manage and run these toll operations, tomorrow, I think EPF will have all these funds, all this cash coming to them. And as a result from there, it only benefits the masses. And this is where you will distribute wealth very evenly. More people get to be rewarded. And from there you can see that then you are able to bring the gap between the rich and the poor. But now, when you award it to a single individual and people who are either related, cronies and all, tomorrow they become super millionaires, super billionaires. And this is what is happening. And that's why there are videos from the last election to now, or even in the previous elections for that matter, whereby we have the leaders with their children all amazing wealth, and they with their friends and with their relations and with all others, all are made multimillionaires. So this is not bridging the gap. This is actually widening the gap. And then this is making these people who have got rich like this to then come out with ideas of their own to start their own dynasties. And from there, how are we able to? So that's why I ask the public, very important, the public, that you must understand that this is not beneficial to you. And if you call yourself as the political masters, and you call yourself that it is so important that when it comes to election, you make sure you bring in the best leaders that will represent you, then I think tomorrow our problem will be solved. So it's on this ground, I am actually appealing to you, and I'm saluting you, and I'm asking you for the support that come GE14, you will give me that vote. And I hope to all those other people who are potential to become candidates, I know you don't have the funds. I know you don't have the funds to pay for deposits to enter this election. That's why this election is so unfree and it is not fair. But we have to go through this process. And you, the capable ones, I ask you to join me to be the next 21 other candidates, so that tomorrow immediately you go and get the nomination forms, you fill it up, and tomorrow we stand. And then the public will see us as formidable. The public will believe that this independent movement, who is now propagating this new idea and this new system, they will accept it. And if they accept that, then all the unhappy supporters of Barisan Nasional and all the unhappy supporters of Pakatan Harapan and all the other undecided voters. I was told that there are 39% Malays who are undecided. There are 36% of the Chinese that are undecided so far from the last poll that they have. So with this and with the unhappy members and supporters of Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan, if they have heard us through this video, and if you come and stand together with me as capable Malaysians, offering a new solutions to Malaysians, I believe they will believe that it's not me, it's them that are voting in a system for themselves. They will come in and immediately vote this in the coalition of United Independents in to form the government. And if that takes place, it will be the brightest, it will be the happiest and the most wonderful news the world will hear from us, that Malaysia will have a new government. And it's to everyone's surprise that this new government is actually going to be a government of the people, for the people and by the people. So I am appealing to Malaysians that it is not too late, because nomination is on the 28th of April. From now until nomination days, we still have ample time. So get your forms from the Election Commission, get it filled up, join me, and then get in touch with me. We draft up the manifesto, adopt the same logo that I'm using, because we have no choice, because this is part of the game that we have to play and we have to participate. We have no choice, and we have to use a common logo. So if we use that common logo and we go around and promote it right now to Malaysians to say that we are the coalition of United Independents and we will stay together through thick and thin, and we will come out with these new policies, and we will run the country much, much better than what Barisan Nasional got to offer and what Pakatan Harapan got to offer. Thank you.